I never imagined that behind Monaco's luxurious facade lay heart-shattering sacrifices. I will never forget the day everything fell apart. It was a moment that etched itself deep into my soul, reshaping my entire existence. The sun was setting, casting a golden glow over the Riviera, but all I could see was darkness. My heart raced, my palms trembled. I stood in front of the opulent casino, the glitzy lights flashing like a neon siren, calling to the lost souls within. Each laugh and clink of champagne glasses felt like a dagger to my chest. I had arrived in Monaco to find fortune, not only in wealth but in love. My heart belonged to Julian, a dashing heir with a charming smile that concealed a chilling secret. We were young and reckless, dancing through nights filled with dreams. But beneath that dazzling surface lay a world of intrigue, where trust was a rare commodity and illusions masked the harshest truths. I remembered my mother's words, her voice trembling in my ear, "Be careful of what glitters, my dear." She had always warned me about this life. In my pursuit of happiness, I risked everything. I had left my family, my hometown, all those who truly cared for me, diving headfirst into a fantasy woven with deception that I saw it then, in the eyes of the people, an unspoken tale of despair. Behind the smiles were secrets that threatened to suffocate. Shadows lurked in corners, whispers of betrayal ricocheted off the marble walls. It was a world where even the air felt charged, thick with unfulfilled dreams and relentless ambition. And then it happened. The phone call that shattered my world. My heart plummeted, panic flooding through me. "He's been taken," the voice said, cold and detached. My mind raced. Who? Why? The answers eluded me, leaving only an aching void. Julian, my breath caught. I stumbled backward, fighting against the pressure in my chest. I had to know. I needed to unravel the web of mystery that enshrined him. As conversations faded into the background, the sounds of the casino transformed into a haunting echo, each beat of my heart thundering with fear. From that moment, everything intensified. I was thrust into an abyss of secrets, where nothing was what it seemed, where I would sacrifice anything to uncover the truth. Skyscrapers loomed above me, as if watching my every move, waiting to devour my spirit. With every step, I pulled further down the rabbit hole. Who could I trust? What lay ahead? My chest tightened as I realized I was standing on the precipice of something dark and twisted. Yet, through the fear, a flicker of hope sparked. Could I find him before it was too late? The thought ignited my spirit and sent shivers down my spine. The clock was ticking. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The night air in Monaco felt heavy against my skin, a cloak of shadows and unease. The clamor of the casino was now a distant echo as I stumbled into the moonlit streets, each footstep weighted with an unshakable dread. Julian's silhouette lingered in my mind, an indelible image of the man I adored yet didn't truly know. I reached for my phone, clutching it with a grip that rivaled my pounding heart. The screen lit up, illuminating a number I didn't recognize. An instinct surged through me. Should I answer? I hesitated only a moment before pressing accept. Hello. My voice scarcely emerged above a whisper. Keep your head down. They're watching you, a voice warned, frantic and fragmented as if it had been pulled from the edge of panic. Julian doesn't have much time. They'll come for you next. Who are you? What are you talking about? A raspy breath crackled through the line. You need to listen, or everything you love will be lost. Meet me at the old pier at midnight. No one can know. Before I could plead for clarity, the line went dead, leaving only the eerie calm of silence in its wake. I stared into the night, the weight of the unknown pressing down on my chest. The old pier memories intertwined with hope flashed before me, the laughter I once shared with Julian, carefree moments that now felt like echoes of a different life. But now, that place was fraught with foreboding, fear battled with something deeper, an undeniable surge of determination. I had to meet this mysterious informant. I had to know if Julian was alive, if there was still time to save him. As I navigated the streets, each corner harbored its own shadows, whispering secrets I longed to uncover. I noticed a small group gathered outside a cafe, sharing stories over steaming cups of coffee. I paused, watching their camaraderie, a glimpse of normalcy shining through my turmoil. In the frenetic dance of flash and glamour that Monaco prided itself on, their genuine laughter was a balm to my soul. How desperately I craved that sense of belonging, yet I felt like a ghost, tethered to a world of darkness. My thoughts drifted to my mother's warning again. Did I truly belong here, chasing after a man cloaked in trouble? And yet, my heart screamed that love was intertwined with risk, that every moment spent alive was worth the uncertainty, especially when bound by passion. I arrived at the pier, the silhouette of its dilapidated structure looming against the starlit sky. Waves lapped gently against the wooden posts, their rhythmic pulse grounding me amid the chaos. The brisk sea breeze tangled in my hair as I peered into the distance, hoping to spot the informant. Minutes dragged on, each second a heavy burden, my mind swirling with fears of what I might learn. Would they lead me to Julian, or drag me deeper into the perilous abyss? The very thought sent chills racing down my spine. Just as dread threatened to consume me, a figure emerged from the shadows. Someone cloaked in a dark coat, their face obscured, approached with cautious footsteps. My heart leaped with anticipation, then clenched in fear. "Are you the one who called?" I asked, barely steadying my voice. "Yes, but time is short. You need to understand, Julian is involved in something dangerous. There are people who want him dead." Their voice was urgent, filled with worry that immediately froze me in place. "You can't trust anyone. Not even him." My breath caught as the weight of those words crashed down on me. I opened my mouth to protest, but the truth lay etched across the stranger's face, a blend of remorse and a plea for understanding. "What do you mean?" "I need to find him. Finding him isn't enough. You must help him escape this world. They've already taken too much from you," they urged, the urgency crackling like fire through their tone. Before I could respond, the piercing sound of engines roared through the night, headlights slicing the darkness as a black SUV tore down the path toward us. The informant glanced at me, fear igniting their eyes. "You have to go now." Adrenaline spiked through my veins as I turned to flee. But as I ran, the urgency melted into panic. Where would I go? How could I save Julian if I was drawn into this mystifying peril myself? Just when hope seemed lost, I found my answer. A pair of unfamiliar hands gripped my shoulder. "Come with me, I can help you," murmured a voice, steady and reassuring amidst the chaos. But as I turned to face them, I couldn't shake the fear that my journey was spiraling deeper into darkness. Was this a chance for salvation, or a trap cloaked in kindness? Time was slipping away, and my heart ached for the truth that lay hidden just beyond reach. How much longer could I survive this treacherous dance in a world stitched with betrayal? The headlights grew nearer, a deadly storm brewing on the horizon. And as the truth hung just out of reach, I felt the ground tremble beneath my feet, a prelude to a revelation that would change everything. The roar of the SUV's engine grew deafening, drowning out my racing thoughts and heightening my sense of urgency. I stood frozen, my heart pounding as I faced the stranger who had appeared out of the shadows. The tension was palpable, the looming question hung in the air like a thick fog. Could I trust them? "Please, you have to come with me," they insisted, their grip firm yet somehow reassuring. I stole a glance back towards the approaching headlights, the looming vehicle reflecting my deepest fears. "Who are you?" I managed to stammer, urgency igniting my voice. "What do you know about Julian?" The figure's face lit up momentarily as the beam from the truck swept past, illuminating their features. I caught a glimpse of their eyes, intense and filled with a compassion that pierced through the veil of fear that enveloped me. "I can't explain everything right now. Just trust me. We don't have much time." As if to reinforce their urgency, the SUV screeched to a halt, the doors swinging open with violent haste. The driver leapt out, a hulking figure clad in black, not the type I could imagine offering any kindness. "Get in!" he barked, I starting wildly. Before I could second-guess myself, I felt compelled toward the stranger who stood beside me, their presence a flicker of hope amidst encroaching dread. With rapid breaths and trembling hands, I nodded and slipped into the car. As the heavy door shut behind me, sealing me inside, the world outside faded away. Shadows, noise, and confusion all dissolved into an abyss of uncertainty. "Drive!" my rescuer exclaimed, and before I could process the moment, the vehicle surged forward, leaving the pier behind us as fear trailed in our wake. Time became distorted, passing in seconds stretched into eternity. "What's happening? Please, you have to tell me about Julian," I cried, my voice cracking. "Julian has things connected to him that are dangerous," the stranger said, leaning closer, urgency lining their words. "Information that powerful people would kill to keep hidden. They've already marked him. They think they can get to him through you." My chest tightened, dread swirling in my gut. But why? I'm just a girl in love. I felt tears prick my eyes, anger and frustration bubbling to the surface. "What can I do to help him?" They stared at me, and for a moment, I saw a flicker of admiration in their gaze. "Your love is exactly what he needs," they said quietly. "But you must be strong. There will be sacrifices. You may have to lose everything to find him." The gravity of their statement hung like a storm cloud, heavy and ominous. "Everything?" I echoed. "What about my family? My life?" "There are larger forces at play here," they replied, grim certainty etched in every line of their face. "You need to accept the reality of this world. It's not only for you and Julian, it's about the people who have already lost their lives for this information." My mind reeled as flashes of terrifying possibilities reverberated in my thoughts. The smile of my mother, the laughter shared with friends. What if they were vulnerable too? The fear of losing them gripped me tighter than the panic. How can I protect everyone? Before they could answer, the vehicle jolted to a halt, and I looked outside to see that we were parked in an abandoned alleyway lined with crumbling bricks and overgrown weeds. Beneath the moon's light, it resembled a graveyard of forgotten dreams. "We need to change vehicles," the stranger said tersely, urgency once more coloring their voice. "We can't stay here." Just as we stepped out, a chilling realization made my blood run cold. In the far distance, I spotted the black SUV, its engine still running, with shadows lurking within. The driver appeared to be surveying the area. I felt my heart stop as one unmistakable silhouette stepped out. "Julian, get back!" I cried instinctively, pulling the stranger close to me. But the soft glow of moonlight caught Julian's eye. It was barely perceptible, yet I could sense the shift in the atmosphere. His figure grew clearer as he advanced toward us, expressions shifting from confusion to alarm when he recognized the ominous tension surrounding us. "Skylar!" he shouted, panic threading through his voice. "Julian, don't!" I urged, backed against the wall of the alley with nowhere left to run. Desperation surged through me, fighting against the realization that I was being pulled into a conflict far deeper than I ever imagined. "Get away from her!" Julian shouted, his protective instinct crashing down around us like stormy waves. He had no idea that the danger wasn't about me. It was about him. The stranger and I exchanged glances. Time stood still, fate balanced precariously on the edge of a knife. "Julian, they're coming for you!" I shouted desperately, trying to reach him. "We need to go, together," but before he could respond, a sudden blinding light enveloped the alley as the SUV's headlights cut through the dark, illuminating the scene. The tension fractured the air, and I felt the weight of every decision pull heavily on my shoulders. "Run!" I screamed, heart racing against the clock as shadows descended upon us, drawn by the undeniable pull of danger. The choices ahead loomed large, threatening to ensnare us all in a trap of betrayal. In a split second, I knew, my greatest fear was that in seeking to save him, I might end up losing everything: Julian, my family, and the life I had once cherished. And all I could feel was the bitter iron taste of blood rising to my lips. The night had forever altered my world, the choices ahead felt insurmountable, but I had to move now, before the walls closed in completely. The path to freedom lay tangled in shadows, shrouded in sacrifices that I had never anticipated. The alley remained eerily quiet as the blinding headlights enveloped us, leaving no choice but to act. I grabbed Julian's hand, pulling him with me as we dashed deeper into the shadows. The echo of their footsteps reverberated behind us, like thunder rolling through the night. Each beat was a countdown, a reminder of the inevitable, "Where are we going?" He gasped, struggling to keep pace. The desperation in his eyes mirrored my own. Danger was no longer a distant illusion but a harrowing reality tightening around us like chains. "Anywhere but here," I replied, adrenaline surging through me as we turned a corner, the alley transforming into a narrow street. My mind raced as I tried to formulate a plan. But the only thought tethered to my consciousness was protecting him. The stranger moved in front of us, leading the way, their silent intensity compelling us to trust them even amidst chaos. I threw a glance back over my shoulder. The SUV had its engines revving, a menacing growl underlining the heavy silence as it prepared to chase us down. "They'll track us down. We have to find safety now," the stranger urged, urgency lacing their tone. "We need to reach that garage." I looked to my right and saw it, an old service bay, its doors rusted and cracked, giving way to a semblance of refuge. Desperation ignited in my chest, my willpower driving me forward despite the gnawing fear. We soon slipped behind the garage doors, the sound echoing eerily as they creaked shut, sealing us from the dangers outside. Inside, darkness cloaked the space, except for a sliver of moonlight peeking through broken glass. I leaned against the cold wall, panting heavily, the weight of the night crashing over me like an endless tide. "What was that all about?" Julian demanded, his voice tinged with confusion and fear, a mixture that threatened to unravel me. Before I could respond, the stranger interrupted. "Listen, Julian, you need to know that they don't just want you, they want the information you carry. And they'll stop at nothing to get to it." I watched as Julian's expression shifted, uncertainty hardening into resolve. "I don't even know what you're talking about," he shouted, frustration boiling beneath the surface. "You're telling me that my life is in danger because of something I don't even understand." "Julian," I cut in, my voice trembling with urgency. "We don't have time to argue. We're in this together. Whatever it is, well, face it." I squeezed his hand, grounding us both in the chaotic storm. A flicker of understanding lit in his eyes, but before he could reply, the sound of heavy footsteps echoed outside. My heart dropped, and panic surged as we pressed ourselves deeper into the shadows. The stranger's eyes were steady, scanning our surroundings for an escape route. "We'll have to distract them," they whispered, meticulous planning etched into their features. "There's a maintenance door at the back of the garage. If we can reach it without being noticed, but they'll see us." I protested, fear mingling with resignation. It screamed within me, the desire to protect, to hide, to shield Julian from the danger that enveloped us. "No, they want," the stranger insisted, their focus unwavering. "Trust me. Stick close and whatever happens, follow my lead." The footsteps grew louder, and my breath quickened, the desperation of the moment flooding my senses. As we inched toward the back of the garage, I stole a glance at Julian. His face, caught between fear and fierce determination, ignited something within me, a flicker of hope, a silent promise that we would fight together. The moment we reached the door, I rested my palm against it, a rattle of adrenaline coursing through me. 1-2 the stranger motioned, preparing to swing the door wide open. Suddenly, the door jolted against the frame, sending a tremor of terror racing down my spine. "They're checking the other side," I breathed, squeezing Julian's hand tighter. He nodded, his only assurance amidst the chaos. What happened next felt like a blur. The door swung open, revealing the dimly lit alley behind the garage. We slipped out, breathing the night air only to be greeted with the sight of the SUV idling on the street corner. My heart sank as I registered the civilians in the area, unwitting participants in a game so much larger than ourselves. Move. Now. The stranger hissed, their voice a razor edge splitting through my daze. We ducked low, darting toward an abandoned street filled with echoes of lost laughter, where vibrant life once thrived. In the distance, the headlights flickered, a warning sign amplifying our fear as the shadows closed in. Each step forward became heavier, laden with the weight of my choices. Then came a sudden sound, an explosion, texturizing the quiet with chaos, the ground beneath us trembling. I turned back to see the garage engulfed in flames, roaring into the sky, as the SUV's engine roared back to life. "Julian, we have to go," I shouted, adrenaline igniting us as we bolted. But in that chaotic moment, I felt something slip from my grasp, a piece of paper that tumbled to the ground, gently dancing in the wind until it settled in the aftermath. I didn't have time to look back. I didn't have time to process what lay behind. We ran, focused on the horizon ahead, but a voice echoed in my mind, a name scribbled in haste that sent shivers through my spine. "Julian, wait!" I gasped, but it was too late. The secrets of his past were already unraveling, and in their web lay a chilling truth. As we turned one last corner, breathless and racing against the storm that lingered behind us, the flicker of hope dimmed ever so slightly. I had yet to discover just how deeply entwined our fates had become. Every revelation felt closer, yet hazier, looming just out of reach. The looming question lingered: how could love endure this kind of darkness? And why did I suddenly fear for my life even more than I feared for his? As we stumbled upon the blinding light of the main road, a voice called out from behind us, powerful and commanding. My heart's I see the name blasted through the stillness, reverberating through me like an echo from the past. "Skylar." I heard the stranger growl, their face taut with urgency. "They're coming for you, too. You must flee now," but it would already be too late. The shadows danced around the streetlights, weaving a narrative I was desperate to escape but had unwittingly invited in. "Stand firm," I told myself, as fear spread its icy fingers through my heart. To protect Julian meant I would have to embrace the sacrifices that would come, and I had no idea how far I would have to go to save the love of my life. Each step forward felt like a descent into an unmarked abyss. Hope and terror existed side by side. I didn't know if I could face what lay ahead, but a chilling realization settled deep within me: this fight was just beginning, and nothing would ever be the same again. The air crackled with tension as we stumbled into the brightness of the main road, our bodies bathed in harsh artificial light. Julian's eyes darted around, wide with shock and disbelief, as if the world had turned upside down and we were simply caught in the undertow. My heart raced not only with fear but a growing urgency. The shadows still lingered, and I could feel a palpable danger lurking, poised to strike. "Where should we go?" Julian finally managed to ask, his voice a fragile thread weaving through the confusion around us. "Just keep moving," I urged, my instincts surging to keep him safe even as doubt started to seep into my mind. The city had transformed into a sprawling maze under the veil of night, and we were mere pawns exposed on a chessboard we didn't even understand. We pushed past the other pedestrians, their faces a blur of ignorance to the storm that chased us, oblivious to the reality of our plight. I led Julian toward a crowded cafe across the street, the warm glow of its neon sign offering a false sense of sanctuary. But I knew we were merely prolonging the inevitable. Safety was an illusion, and danger was a heartbeat away. The cafe was teeming with life, a jarring contrast to our frantic circumstances. Patrons laughed and chatted as if the world outside didn't exist, the aroma of freshly brewed coffee wafting through the air. My intention was to blend in, try to gather my thoughts and plot our next escape. But deep down, an unsettling pit festered. Even in this moment of apparent calm, I sensed the storm brewing just beneath the surface. As we slid into a booth in the farthest corner, I watched as Julian attempted to catch his breath, the fear etched onto his face temporarily softened by the distant sounds of laughter. But my heart weighed heavy, knowing the warmth of the moment was just a facade. "What the hell is happening, Skylar?" He leaned across the table, desperation clear in his voice. "What do they want from me?" "I don't know," I admitted, the truth spilling from my lips like poison. "But it's something important. Something that could change everything. And they're willing to do anything to get it." Julian's brow furrowed, uncertainty mixing with determination. And what if I don't even have it? What if I'm just a target? Some pawn they want to sacrifice. His words pierced. Might was one thing to face danger myself, a burden I had accepted, but this was different. I had unknowingly dragged him into a nightmare he didn't ask for. My grip tightened around my coffee cup as I tried to find the right words. No matter what happens, we face it together. Somehow, we'll figure this out. But even as I spoke, the weight of my sentence echoed with fragility. We were in over our heads, and every moment spent in indecision could seal our fates. Without warning, the cafe door swung open, and my breath hitched. A man in a charcoal coat swept in, I scanning the room like a hawk. I felt chills dance up my spine. There was no doubt he was one of them. "Skylar," the stranger called out, his voice cutting through the noise like a knife. "You have to leave now." Julian's fright intensified, his grip on the table tightening, knuckles turning white. I stood, my instincts kicking into high gear. "We have to go," I urged, but Julian remained frozen, spray-painted with doubt. "Shooting in the dark won't help us," he protested, even as fear tangled in his voice. "What if he's not the enemy? It doesn't matter," I snapped, desperation spilling over. "We can't stay here." I battled my own frustration but reminded myself that this night wasn't just about survival. I needed to protect Julian, not push him away. And then, before I could reach for his hand, the man approached, his expression shifting from determined to sincere in an instant. "Please, just trust me. You're not safe here." His gaze flickered to Julian. "You must understand that all of this is larger than both of you. In trying to protect you, protect us from what?" My voice wavered, uncertainty clawing at my resolve. But Julian, still bewildered, locked eyes with the stranger. "What do you know about me?" The man hesitated, a flicker of vulnerability tracing his features. "Everything. And it's about to get worse." Time felt suspended as I held my breath, watching the battle within Julian's heart play out. His eyes flickered toward me, I could see the resistance simmering beneath the surface, the urge to break free from the chains of this nightmare tangled within him. "Let's go," I urged softly, coaxing him away from uncertainty. The truth was, he couldn't face this alone. And I refused to leave him behind, no matter the cost. With each step that followed, I felt the world shift. My heart drummed against my chest, resonating with the unspoken fears we both carried. The door swung open, plunging us back into darkness, but this time, we were together, ready or not to confront whatever awaited us. Before we reached the exit of the cafe, a commotion erupted behind us. A shout pierced the air, drowning out the laughter and chatter. Someone was searching for us. "Skylar! Julian!" The man's voice rang out, desperation creeping into his tone. "You don't have much time." The weight of reality crashed over us, an avalanche of uncertain futures and crushing decisions. Running now felt like a gamble, the ultimate risk of choosing to live in this chaos rather than succumb to fear. Just as we moved toward the door, Julian hesitated, suddenly pulling me back. "Wait. What if this ends up being a trap? What if?" Then the world erupted around us. Glass shattered our safety net and sirens blared, echoing our uncharted fates. "Run!" I yelled as the panic surged like wildfire. Each heartbeat sounded louder than the last, a countdown that matched the chaos swirling around us. With Julian glancing back one last time, searching for assurance, the moment turned heavy and fragile. Hope lingered in the air, dancing on the edges of peril, as we threw ourselves toward the infinite unknown. And there, amidst the flames of chaos that bore witness to our choices, the final piece of the puzzle shattered, a revelation with the potential to alter everything. Our fight was just beginning, and I couldn't shake the feeling that the truth lay just out of reach, terrifying and beautiful in its potential. As I propelled us into the uncertain night, I knew one thing with bone-deep certainty: the deeper we dove, the more entwined our hearts became, and I couldn't shake the ominous thought of what that sacrifice would ultimately demand of us. The pavement turned slick beneath our hurried feet as we sprinted away from the cafe, the raucous laughter now replaced by cries of alarm. The night air felt thick and stifling, laced with a dichotomy of fear and adrenaline. Julian ran close beside me, his brow furrowed not just in determination but uncertainty, an echo of what lay ahead. The streets twisted like a labyrinth, and it was evident we were losing ourselves in the very city that was both our sanctuary and prison. I scanned the darkened alleys for a new hiding place, a flicker of hope igniting as I spotted a narrow passageway. "Here!" I urged, tugging him toward the shadows. As we ducked behind a weathered dumpster, I could hear the distant echo of footsteps and shouts. My heart pounded furiously in my chest, but I forced myself to focus on Julian, who was the priority. Catching my breath, I turned to him, leaning in closer than I ever had, our foreheads almost touching, the world around us fading into a murmur. "We need to stay quiet." Just for a moment, he nodded, eyes wide and shimmering with a mixture of fear and vulnerability. "Skylar, what if they find us?" His voice was barely a whisper, yet it felt like the air expanding, heavy with the weight of our predicament. I brushed a hand against his cheek, my thumb grazing the worried lines of his brow. "Then we face them together, remember?" I said, forcing a calmness into my voice that I didn't fully feel. "No matter what happens, we do this together." Julian's breath hitched, and I could see the decision weighing on him. He was fighting an inner battle, grappling with emotions I struggled to comprehend, battling the instinct to flee from this reality I had unwittingly thrust upon him. Suddenly, a voice pierced through the muffled chaos, sending a sharp chill through the air. "They went this way." It was the stranger from the cafe, his urgency palpable even from this distance. Julian jolted, and I felt the fear swell within him. "What if he's leading them to us?" he said, staring deep into my eyes. "What if he's part of this?" My mind raced. The stakes were spiraling out of our control. I don't know," I admitted, feeling the shadows of doubt creep in. "But we can't stay here. We have to trust our instincts. Trust each other." All of this could be a mistake. His voice cracked as he struggled to keep the darkness at bay. "What if we just keep running until we disappear?" Desperation flared within me, battling against the tightening knot of responsibility that constricted my chest. Running has never been a solution. It might just get us further entangled. "We need to find out the truth," I urged, pouring my resolve into my words. "You're stronger than you think, Julian. We'll make it through this. Trust me." And that moment, I made a choice, one that felt as reckless as it was brave. We can't let whatever's coming tear us apart. This whatever it is, it has a hold on both of us, but I won't let them win. The footsteps drew closer, the urgency growing, and suddenly, Julian's eyes narrowed, a flicker of determination igniting within. "Let's confront it, then. Together." He squared his shoulders, shaking off that debilitating fear, even as uncertainty continued to shimmer in his gaze. I grabbed his hand, the connection between us igniting sparks of hope even amid uncertainty. Together, we slipped from our hiding place, shadows weaving around us as we ventured toward an uncertain fate. "Where do we go now?" he asked, glancing around as if expecting the answer to drop from the sky. "Where we can find answers," I said, my instincts directing us toward an old bookstore across the road, its flickering sign barely discernible but still glowing with promise. "There's something there that might help us piece this together. We might find someone who knows." Julian hesitated for a heartbeat, and I could see him weighing the risks. But then he nodded, resolve settling into his features as we stepped carefully toward the bookstore, the door creaking ominously upon our arrival. Inside, the musty aroma of aged paper enveloped us, the sparse light casting long shadows. As we moved cautiously through the aisles, I felt a strange pull toward the back where a dimly lit nook housed old leather-bound tomes. Suddenly, with barely a whisper, the bell above the door chimed again, a shiver of recognition coursing through me. "Skylar." The familiar voice made my pulse quicken, and I turned to see Miranda, her face creased with concern. "I've been looking for you." Once more, the foundation of my world shifted. "What are you doing here?" The questions bubbled inside me, but one thing remained paramount. Her appearance felt like a turn of fate. I heard what happened. "I'm here to help," she said, stepping closer, urgency spilling through her voice. But we don't have much time. They're coming for you both. You'll need to trust mites about Julian. There's something you need to see. Julian looked at me, his brow raised in question, but the reality of our situation loomed large. The bookstore, for all its cozy charm, felt like a sinking ship. Follow me, Miranda instructed, glancing over her shoulder, fear darting in her wide eyes. And be ready. What you learn could change everything. A spark of hope and dread coiled within me as we followed her deeper into the shadows, drawn toward a truth I had only glimpsed. Whatever revelations lay ahead, they were no longer just about survival. They were about unraveling the delicate threads that bound us to this storm, and loomed above all was the specter of sacrifice, ready to extract its due, ensnaring us in a fate far greater than any of us could comprehend. Hearts racing, we steeled ourselves for whatever lay ahead, knowing that the real fight had only just begun. As we moved through the narrow passage between towering shelves, the heaviness in the air seemed to multiply with every step. The musty scent of antiquity clung to the pages surrounding us, wrapping around our anxieties like a suffocating embrace. I could feel Julian's hand grip mine tighter, his fingers trembling slightly as if he were unraveling at the seams, and it was hard to fight the urge to pull him closer. Miranda led us to a hidden alcove shrouded in shadows. The lamp flickered sporadically, casting eerie shapes on the walls. My heart raced not just from the fear of being found but from the unsettling sense that something monumental was waiting for us within this dim enclosure. The walls felt as if they could confide secrets of a past long buried, whispering of despair, heartache, and sacrifice that lay beneath Monaco's shining facade. What do we need to see? I asked, trying to comprehend how Miranda had gotten caught up in this twisted narrative. The weight of her gaze was intense. She seemed to read the doubts flitting across my mind like pages in a book. Not what, who, she corrected gently, reaching for an old, dust-laden tome perched on an adjacent shelf. My breath caught in my throat at the sight of its spine-engraved gold letters spelled out something I had hoped would remain buried. This is about your family, Skylar. And Julian's. What do you mean? I demanded, a rush of fear washing over me. Julian shifted uneasily next to me, his heart drumming louder than the distant echo of pursuers outside. Miranda opened the book, revealing pages aging and torn, juxtaposed with elegant cursive script. Your mother, she whispered, her voice barely above a breath. She was part of something powerful, something dangerous. The last of the covenant, and you are not just her daughter. You carry a legacy, one that makes you a target. That I felt the world tilt, my grip on Julian tightening. No, she left that all behind, I insisted, shaking my head as if to dismiss the weight of her words. She wanted nothing to do with it. Why would I have to bear the brunt of her past? Because they don't just want to erase your lineage, they want to manipulate it. A tremor of urgency sharpened Miranda's tone. Julian's connection to you makes him vulnerable as well. In this realm of powers and allegiances, the truth of your bond is a catalyst for chaos. The implications were staggering. Julian's confusion mirrored my own, and I sought his eyes desperately. It had always been about self-preservation, survival. What legacy was worth jeopardizing our fragile lives? The thought of old feuds ripping us apart made nausea ripple in my stomach. They'll come for you both, Miranda reiterated, urgency gripping her voice. You must understand the depths of what your family is capable of, Skylar. And how it ties to Julian's hidden past. What hidden past? Julian's voice was laden with a mixture of anger and fear, but underneath, I felt his vulnerability sharp as glass. What do you mean? Miranda hesitated, shifting her weight, as if the weight of truth anchored her down. Your lineage. There were stories, whispers of a bloodline with ties to eternal bonds, a unique gift passed through generations. But it wasn't just power, it was the prices they paid to protect each other. Julian's eyes darted toward me, searching for reassurance. The idea that we could be intertwined far beyond this frantic flight was thrilling and terrifying. The legacy felt like a chain around my throat rather than something precious. Moments of levity were slipping through our fingers, replaced by chains of past misdeeds and formidable enemies. We can't just throw ourselves into the abyss because of a past we didn't choose, I said, absorbing the reality as it sank deeper, clenching my stomach into knots. We need to focus on escaping, on surviving that. I am afraid it isn't that simple, Skylar. You can't simply run from your blood. It will always draw close. She closed the book, sealing its secrets in shadow, and my heart ached with the knowledge that the past was alive, ever lurking, willing to devour us whole. Suddenly, the distant sounds of breaking glass shattered. The tense air. A window had been shattered, and the ominous thuds of boots echoed through the store closer, driving urgency into our already fraying nerves. They've found us. Panic clawed at my throat, and I felt the primal instinct to flee surge back into my veins. Julian's eyes widened, a reflection of fear mirroring my own, yet in that moment, something in his gaze transformed. We can't run away anymore, he whispered, a quiet resolve anchoring his voice. We need to push back. We need answers, not just for ourselves but for our families. Before I could respond, the bell above the door jingled violently, an echo of chaos spilling into our sanctuary. In that moment, I realized our world was no longer clinging to the fragile edges of safety. It was unraveling altogether. Miranda glanced at us with fierce determination. Follow me. There's an exit at the back, but you'll have to trust me. The path ahead shifts beneath our feet, and it's riddled with choices. A heavy thud resonated in the distance, sealing our fate and carrying us deeper into the unknown. My heart pounded, knowing that choices made in this fleeting moment could lead us toward salvation or despair. Then, a chilling cry echoed through the air, reverberating with a truth that pierced through the fog of uncertainty. Skylar. It was a voice I recognized all too well, a call I had never expected to hear again. Mom. I gasped, my breath catching as shadows flooded my vision. Fear tangled with hope as I spun toward the source, recognizing the depths of sacrifice curling at the edges of this relentless storm, all while the door behind us trembled against the wrath waiting to claim us. What sacrifices lay ahead? What truths would we unveil, and would we still stand together when the dust settled? The cry echoed in my mind, suspending time in a fragile web of hope and dread. Mom. The words slipped from my lips like a prayer, drawing my focus toward the shadowed threshold leading to another world beyond this chaos. I could feel Julian's heart racing beside me, a thundering reminder that our bond was the very thing now drawing us into this vortex. Skylar, we need to go. Miranda's urgency ripped me back into the present. The vicious stamping of boots grew louder, footsteps echoing ominously, hauntingly close. But the possibility of my mother, the chance that she was near, those thoughts pulled at the strings of my heart. No, I said, but a forceful tug from Julian silenced me. His grip was fierce, his own fear mingling with determination. We have to make a choice. Right now. I can't leave without knowing. I gasped, fraught with turmoil. The idea of her, after so many years, ignited a flicker of yearning deep within me. What if she's in danger, Skylar? Julian's voice broke through my panic. Please, think. If we stay here, we won't have the chance to find her at all. Right now, the only thing that matters is us getting out. In that moment of desperation, Miranda interjected, whispering urgently, leaving could be your only chance to find her safely. This place is a trap, and they will stop at nothing to keep you from her. No. I protested, frustration bubbling. I can't just abandon her again. But the shadows at our backs began to feel like vultures, ready to circle in for the kill. I turned back toward the door where the anguished voice had surged from the depths of my memories. What if I turned around and it was nothing more than a cruel taunt? What if she really was here, and I was letting her slip away again? It's not just about you. Julian's voice was steady yet laced with fear. Think of what that relationship could mean, what it could drag into our lives. If we know what we are up against, we can face it together. My heart ached with the recognition of his words, with the inexplicable pull to help my mother, not just for her sake, but because of the legacy we were tethered to like marionettes strung by invisible threads. It felt righteous, yet I feared it would break us apart. Miranda nodded emphatically, her expression taut with understanding. I will help you find her. But we are running out of time, Skylar. Let's put distance between us and this chaos. The crushing weight of indecision loomed, but necessity began to darken the corners of my mind. I took a deep breath, inhaling the musty air, and made a leap of faith. Okay. Well, take the exit first, but I'm not abandoning the search for her. I need to know, we need answers. Miranda's gaze held mine for a split second before she turned toward the exit. Then we do this together. She led the way, urgency pouring from every step. I followed, Julian's resolute presence beside me, grounding me against the uncertainty looming like a dark cloud. We dashed into the narrow corridor, my heart racing at the thought of everything we were leaving behind. Every step felt like a goodbye to the past and a desperate leap toward reclamation. As the lights flickered and shadows danced ominously around us, a door swung wide ahead. We burst through into a dimly lit alleyway, where the heavy scent of rain mingled with an atmosphere thick with tension. I glanced back, half expecting to see her face me, mother, the woman who had woven together dreams and shadows alike. You ready? Julian's voice broke through the storm of emotion swirling inside me, a tether grounding me in reality. Ready as I'll ever be, I replied, forcing conviction into my voice. But as we emerged into the open air, mingling with the echoes of distant sirens, the world around us shifted again. The alley opened up into a grand square, illuminated by the faint glow of streetlights reflecting off the cobblestones, like a stage set for a play I no longer understood. Suddenly, an imposing figure stepped into view, a man dressed in a dark coat, his face hidden beneath the brim of a hat. The moment he locked eyes with us, a jolt of recognition hit me, like the flash of lightning illuminating the truth for a fleeting moment. It can't be, I breathed, feeling the blood drain from my face. Julian's gaze turned to mine, the horror mirrored in his expression as we faced the man who had burdened our families with ages of darkness. In that chilling instant, I knew he was the link to every tangled thread of our past, woven carefully into our family's fractured legacies. Welcome back, he said, his voice smooth yet laced with venom. I've been waiting for you. The weight of our decisions shifted once more, binding us to the reality that the storm we'd been dreading had only just begun. Our family's truths were no longer hidden in the shadows, but at the forefront, demanding to be unraveled. Enticing yet terrifying, the alleyway crumbled behind us, a moment lost to the wind, and all I could do was stand there, engulfed in the encroaching shadows of the past, seeking to reclaim me once more. What secrets lay bereft at the feet of that ominous figure? What truths would unfold, and would it shatter us or bind us closer together? The chaos of emotion swirled inside me, a tempest of fear mingled with a flicker of defiance. I stood frozen, unable to break the hold this mysterious figure had on us, as if he were the gatekeeper to the revelations we feared but craved. Julian's grip tightened on my hand, grounding me amidst the swirling uncertainty, and I felt Miranda close beside me, her presence a quiet promise of support if I faltered. Who are you? I managed to ask, every syllable trembling with a blend of anger and fear. The man smiled, an unsettling curve that seemed to distort everything around him. Skylar, so many questions, yet so few answers in a world built on lies, he replied, his voice smooth, like silk wrapping around a knife. I am merely a conductor of this great symphony your families have composed through the generations. Symphony? Was this a game to him? My heart thudded fiercely in my chest as I tried to decipher his words. My mind raced to the snippets of conversations, the stories clawing their way back from a distant past. You know my mother, I blurted out, the desperate hope tinged with apprehension. Where is she, your mother? He laughed softly, as if savoring a long-held secret. She's part of a tragedy, darling, one that's yet to unfold. The truth you seek lies buried deep within the fabric of this city, truth so bitter that it demands sacrifices. Sacrifices? I echoed, an icy grip settling in my stomach. The shadows morphed around me, growing thicker, almost alive, as if they whispered dark secrets only he knew. Every choice carries a price, he continued, the gleam of mischief dancing in his eyes. You must understand, Skylar, your bond with your mother isn't merely forged by blood, it's intricately tied to the fate of many. Julian shifted beside me, his own expression fierce and protective. What do you want from us? What are you trying to do to her? Do? The man feigned innocence, his words dripping with disdain. Oh, I ask for nothing you haven't already laid on the altar of history. Digging up the past can be a very dangerous thing, especially when it involves people who'd rather stay buried. For a moment, I felt the weight of those words, the chilling reminder of the connections that bound my family history to this sinister game. I wanted to strike out, to reject his insinuations, but the truth began unraveling in the crevices of my mind. Fear that my mother hadn't survived her own escape from this web, fear that my existence was part of a much larger design. I won't play your games, I declared, lifting my chin defiantly, but the tremor behind my confidence betrayed me. We'll find her ourselves. The man's gaze shifted, assessing my resolve. Then you must be prepared, for the journey will demand everything of you, the very essence of who you are. The only question that remains, are you willing to pay that price? I looked at Julian and Miranda, their fierce determination reflecting my own silent fears. We all stood on the precipice of something bigger, something darker that threatened to consume us whole. I'm not afraid, I said, though the tremor in my voice may have suggested otherwise, but he only chuckled softly, as if to dismiss my bravado. Fear is what drives you, dear Skylar. Soon, you will embrace it like an old friend. In the distance, the ominous clattering of footsteps echoed, interrupting this delicate dance of power and fear. The shadows seemed to deepen, closing in, and I felt the weight of the night pressing on me, a silent promise of what was to come. Suddenly, Julian stepped forward. Whatever truth lies ahead, we'll face it together. You can't intimidate us. The conviction in his words sent a shudder of strength through me. Very well, brave souls, the man taunted, backing away slowly with an eerie calmness. But remember, every path you choose has consequences, and they may reach far beyond your own lives. He disappeared into the depths of the shadows, leaving us with a feeling of icy dread and uncertainty hanging in the air. I can't let him win, I whispered, the resolve building in my heart. The desire to find my mother grew stronger, intertwining with the determination to confront the darkness threatening to consume us. Just then, a figure emerged from the fog, a shadow clad in a cloak, their features obscured. My breath hitched as they stepped into the lamplight, revealing a familiar face. It was a girl, her eyes wide with terror but unmistakable recognition. Skylar. She breathed, and a fracture ran through my heart as I recognized her, a memory I thought long buried. I came to find you, we don't have much time. They're coming. The revelation of another connection, another layer in this complex web of fate, ignited a spark of hope within me but sent a wave of dread crashing over me as well. Who was she? What did she know? And what exactly was coming for us in the dark? Before I could ask, a roar echoed from the distance, primal and unnerving, swallowing the world around us. My heart raced as I faced the uncertainty we had both embraced and feared. The night lay ahead like a vast ocean, dark and unpredictable, whispering promises of truth while threatening to drag us under. With echoes of the man's words haunting my thoughts, and the weight of my burgeoning past crashing against the fragile hope of the present, I took a stealing breath. Together, we would navigate the depths of this chaos. But would we emerge unscathed, or would we fall deeper into the abyss of our intertwined destinies? As the newcomer's fearful voice reached me, a shiver coursed down my spine, drawing my attention away from the lingering shadows of the past. Skylar. It was her. My cousin, a memory intertwined with my childhood, returning from the edges of my fractured past like a ghost, haunting yet familiar. I came to find you, we don't have much time. They're coming. Her urgency pulled me back to the reality pressing down on us. Lila. I managed, hardly believing her presence. I hadn't seen her in years. We'd shared summer afternoons, our laughter echoing through my parents' backyard, yet they felt like distant echoes from a time I barely recognized. You're here, but how could you? There's no time for explanations. They're aware of your whereabouts. We need to move. Her eyes darted beyond us, scanning for danger, the intensity in her expression a mirror of my own. Who's coming? I asked, my heart racing, torn between the desire for answers and the overwhelming need to escape. Those who seek to protect the legacy, she replied cryptically. The Covenant is watching, and they know you're unraveling their secrets. A surge of dread twisted in my gut as Julian and Miranda joined me, their expressions echoing the confusion I felt swirling within. What does that mean? Miranda's voice broke through the haze, urgency gleaming in her eyes. We can't stand still, Julian insisted, his protective nature flaring. We need to figure out what's going on. Lila shook her head vehemently. It's not safe here. We have to go. Then, as if our words had conjured the very shadows that haunted us, the air thickened with an electric tension. I could feel it, the approach of something dark, intently alive. Before I could respond, distant shouts pierced the night air, flooded with the urgency of footsteps echoing off pavement, closing in. My heart raced like a wild thing, the primal instinct for survival igniting an unquenchable fire within me. Now! Lila exclaimed, propelling us into a reckoning of flight. We dashed down the cobblestone path, veering toward the deeper alleys of Monaco, where vibrant lights faded to whispers, and shadows clung to the walls like desperate hands. Where do we go? I panted, adrenaline coursing through my veins, blurring the boundaries of reason. To the old chapel, Lila replied, determination cutting through her fear. It's an ancient sanctuary, it holds more than prayers, it holds secrets of your family. Your mother, she has ties there. The name of my mother swelled in my chest like an unyielding weight. The desire to find her was a tempest, but I could feel the tendrils of fear wrapping tightly around my throat, longing for release. But what if they find us first? We have to believe, Lila urged, and the conviction in her voice offered a sliver of hope. If we don't face this together, we'll be lost. All of us. Around us, the night deepened, and a cold wind surged through the narrow street, carrying the scent of rain. Our breaths mingled in the damp air as we raced towards the chapel, my heart thundering in anticipation of what lay ahead. Just as we reached the chapel's grand entrance, I felt the world shift. An eerie stillness blanketed us, and the light of the moon was swallowed by thick clouds overhead. In that moment, time seemed to freeze, and a terrible realization washed over me. We were walking into the heart of darkness, but perhaps within that darkness lay our truth. As we pushed the heavy doors open, shadows spilled into the dim interior. The air felt thick with history, tangled like threads of fate, and I could almost taste the weight of secrets lingering in the silence. Stepping inside, we found ourselves encircled by weathered stone walls that whispered tales of those who had walked this path before us. The chill pressed against my skin, but I pressed on, determined to unveil the history woven into my existence. Where do we start? I asked, my voice a breath hanging in the air. Somewhere within these walls might reveal what you need to know, Lila said, guiding us deeper into the nave. Just then, a flash of light caught my eye, a flicker from the altar. Illuminating the dust motes dancing through the air like memories longing to be awakened, Miranda pulled me toward the altar where faded markings carved into the wood seemed to pulse with life. Look! She exclaimed, pointing toward swirling symbols entwined with familiar motifs, a sigil I recognized from my mother's stories. What does it mean? I asked, leaning closer. It speaks of family and sacrifice, longing, and connection, Lila murmured, reverence lacing her tone. It's the history of your bloodline. The covenant demands instead of easily relinquishing old ties, it binds generations together. My heart raced as I absorbed the implications of her words. But just then, the ominous creaking of the doors behind us jolted me from my thoughts. The sudden noise sent panic coursing through my veins, and I spun around as figures silhouetted against the dim light stumbled in. Skylar. A voice called out, and my heart dropped, familiar yet distant. It was my mother, standing there with a fierce supply of power radiating from her being, yet fear lingered in her stare. Mom! The words spilled from my lips as if I were stepping into a dream. I thought you were gone. I'm not lost yet, she replied, urgency threading her voice. But if you are to survive, you must listen carefully. Before I could answer, the shadows shifted, and the very air seemed to grow thick with tension. The figure stalking behind her advanced, and in that moment, the storm that had been brewing came crashing forth. The air crackled with tension, and a union of fear and hope hummed between us. Skylar, we don't have much time. They're coming, she whispered urgently, the weight of her words hewing deeper into my heart. Who? I managed, my heart pounding in rhythm with the impending danger. The covenant, they will do anything to protect their legacy, she continued, desperately clenching my hand. Our bond is their price. You are part of something larger, and what you do now will echo in eternity. I could feel the depths of her resolve intertwine with my own. The light of truth flickered before me, illuminating the path we would have to tread, yet enveloping me in fear for what we were risking to reclaim. Yes, I replied, my pulse racing, but I need to know we will do this together. As the room trembled around us, a jarring clash erupted outside the chapel, reverberating through the air like thunder. The covenant had come for us, their storm was upon us, fierce and unrelenting, and in the cyclone of truth and shadows, we stood united, my heart swelling with determination to carve out our destiny from the tempest of this brutal truth. I would not allow fear to dictate my choices. We would find our way through this dark passage together, and together, we would face whatever awaited us beyond the storm. In that moment of blistering clarity, I made my choice. No matter what they want from us, we will rise. And with that conviction echoing through my heart, I turned to face the darkness looming just beyond, fueled by the desperate hope that it would lead us toward an awakening that would ultimately unite us, not just as a family, but as warriors willing to stake everything for the truth we sought. Together, echoed our voices, a battle cry against the encroaching shadows. And as uncertainty loomed on the horizon, I felt the first flickers of light breaking through the tumultuous clouds, the promise of dawn's embrace awaiting us with open arms. Whatever came next, we would meet it as one.